Okay, I have a few questions in here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. First question, is creating an image helpful for concentration during meditation? When you are meditating on the breath, that's already more or less an image. So why are you still creating you are using an image and you're telling me, is creating an image helpful? You are doing it now, and why are you asking? Your breath has become your what? Your object of concentration. That is already your image. So why I have an image now, I have my breath that I concentrate on. Should I create an image in my meditation? You're doing it now. Next question. In Buddhism, is it better to cremate or bury the body after one passes, and why? Whether you go through cremation, somebody go through cremation or burial, has nothing to do with the religion. And when a person passes away, this body is no more his body. This body is no more his body. As a matter of fact, if you analyze it carefully, your body is not your body. Your body comes from causality, which means that, why do I have a body? Why do you have a body? Because you have that karmic energy that has been brought forward from accumulated energy in the past to form this body. Let me give you an example. You were born into a family. You don't know that family is rich, poor. Some people born in a rich family, from poor family. Some people were born crippled, and some people were born healthy. That's because of the karmic energy. So you're born into that family. Why were you born in that family? Somehow, there's some unfinished business that you have with that family. Or there is still a relationship that hasn't been completely severed. You still a link to that family. And what's the nature of this relationship? Is it a good relationship, a bad relationship? We don't know. It depends on what you did in previous life. So if you're old, I'm just giving an example. If you owe your present moment dad or mom a lot of debts in your previous life, you will come back to repay them. If he owe you, she owe you, he'll come back to raise you up and give you the money. So you come because there are some. If you're an accountant, then I can use an example of accounting. There's some debit and credits that you have to balance your general ledger with. So are you familiar with general ledger? The general ledger always got the debit and the credit side. You have to balance it out. So you come to born in this family. How come some brothers and sisters, they like each other and some they don't like each other? It's all because of the karmic energy that created previously. They germinated, they cultivate those causes, and they brought about what they will encounter in this life. So, whether they cremate the body or not, when this body is due, this body is no more you anymore. Why do you have to worry about whether this body is cremated or buried? As long as it meets the society's code, you won't throw those ashes in the road. You won't throw the body on the road. As long as you meet the code of the society, morally and legally, then you can do what you want. But if you do it, if you cremate it, you don't need. Some people like cremation because then they don't need so much space. They don't need, 8 feet by 2 feet in ocean view to bury that body. They just cremate it with an urn, and they can put the urn inside a smaller box. And some people, after cremated the body, they can just mix it up with bread and butter and flour and just throw it back to the sea to feed the animals, to feed sea fish. Because some people are very compassionate. So when I die, don't worry about my body anymore. Throw my body into the ocean so that it will benefit the fish. Some people are very compassionate. Some people say, throw my body in the wildwood and mixed it and become fertilizers. Why do I have to attach my body? My body is gone. Your apartment is gone. Everybody is a lease apartment. Your apartment is a lease. When the time is due, you got to go. You cannot renew. It's a non-renewable net lease. Do you know about this? It's a non-renewable net lease. That's your body. You cannot renew it. You can't say, I don't want to die. I want to renew it for another 10 years. No. But actually, the Buddha told us that there are ways to renew. But you may not know about it. I don't know if you'd like to listen to it. Do you want to renew your body when you're destined to die? Whether you die at early age or old age, whether you get sick or not, it all depends on the karmic energy you created in a previous life or in this lifetime. You've got to build up good karma. Build up good karma, you realize the good karmic energy first. It's just like when your clothes is all soaked with salt and it's put in a container and you want to washed off the saltiness inside of your clothes. You're going to purify it with more water. Purify it with good deeds. If you continue to do bad deeds in this life, this apartment is going to be, the lease is going to expire very, very soon because it's all karmic energy. So whether you cremate it or bury it depends on what the person likes. It does not mean that when you create a body, you disrespect the body. No. You cremate it sincerely and wholeheartedly, or you bury it. It does not matter. Say if I have to die one day, I would say, just let my body to be thrown back to the sea and feed all the sea fish so they will benefit by it. So this apartment is due. The fact that you're not attaching this body is another way, a minute little way for enlightenment. Everybody attaches his own body. This is my body. They are very interested, but they love their body. Who does not like their body? More than that, some people like others' bodies. You know what I mean? That's a sensuous liking. So you got to know more about the Buddhist teaching. The fact that you're coming here to do a ceremony, actually your ancestors has brought you along. He or she wanted to listen to the Buddhist teaching so that you get some enlightenment, so that you can pursue that enlightenment path and not just bury yourself in the Epicurean way of eating, drinking, partying, getting fame and reputation and money and attached to good stuff like houses and cars. And it does not matter what material you attach to. Nothing belongs to you. Not your bank account. Not your diamond rings in the deposit box in the bank. You came with nothing and you went with nothing. Why do you still attach to your possession? Why do you use all kinds of powers and bad deeds to harm others to get what you want? You're creating a lot of bad energy, a bad karmic energy. Learn the Buddhist teaching. The Buddhist teaching is not about God. Blindly believing in a God, that God can forgive me. Whatever I do, that God will forgive me. Is that simple? You committed killing and then you say a prayer, God, forgive me, and you're forgiven? Is it fair? So if you commit a sin and you say, God, forgive my sin, and you'll be forgiven? I came across the principal of a very famous university in Hong Kong. And I don't want to mention his name because you may know his name. And I asked him, he's my friend, and I asked him, why do you believe in the Buddhist teaching? He said, there's one reason. Just for that reason, I believe in the Buddhist teaching about reincarnation. I said, what is that? It is fair. Reincarnation, life and death is fair. Well, why? If I did something really bad, if I don't have to pay for it, as long as I feel happy, I can do what I want. I can kill, I can rape, I can do what I want, because after this life, I've got no other life left. Why do I just fulfill my sensual pleasures? Whatever I want to see, I just see. Whatever I want to speak, I just speak. Whatever I want to enjoy my sensual pleasures, I just overwhelm myself with sensual pleasures. I don't mind if I kill, if I rape, if I lie, if I anything. That's the Buddha said no, because you will carry that karmic energy into your next life. You can't get away with it. That's more fair, he said, because the next life you're going to suffer. Because somehow the general ledger got to be balanced. You owe more money, you got to repay. So don't owe anybody money. You will become his son, and you're going to repay it. And don't get into debt. You'll become a cow in his farm, and you'll milk that cow every day. Every day you get milk from that cow, he's actually repaying you. He owes you a lot of money. Or you will be that cow one day to be milked. And finally, you know what he would do to you? Because you owe a lot of money, he would send you to the slaughterhouse to be killed. I'm speaking too much about this. Yeah. So it's time, because people are looking at me and say we still have a ceremony to do. So I can speak for days. Now, if you want to listen more to the Buddhist teaching, get onto YouTube. And I have a lot of lectures in there in English and in Cantonese. There's more Cantonese than in English. Maybe about 500 in Cantonese, and about 100 in English, and even in Mandarin. And click onto it, Reverend Guan Chung, Guan, space, CHUNG, and you will get into a lot of this kind of teaching. And there's Q&A sessions that I put into the YouTube about people asking questions and I'm answering questions. And some people are interested in it. I've seen people who came from the States coming here to visit me and said, I like to listen to the Q&A because it answers a lot of questions for me. So get onto YouTube. Then not only on what I talk about, there are also other monks. Get into lectures by, for example, Ajahn Punaji, Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Surapano, and there's many other monks who gave very wise advice and who gave out the Buddhist teaching. And click onto it. Next question: how and what to focus on during walking meditation? During walking meditation, you are focusing on your movement. And also, if you meditate for a long time, for those meditators who meditate for a long time, you may be building up a lot of energy inside your body. In the Chinese language, we call it the qi. And sometimes if you can't release the qi, it will concentrate in certain areas and make you uncomfortable. For example, if the qi is right at the top of your head, you may feel the tingling all the time. If the qi is right in the chest, you may feel some heavy chest in here, or in the knees and all that. So meditation, you really have to meditate for a while. You really have to walk very fast to release that kind of energy. That is the qi energy, not the spiritual energy. Sometimes we have to do a mixture because we have a body. In other words, we have an apartment, and the person, assuming the example is that the apartment is the material, and the person living in it is the spiritual, is the mental, for just an example. The physical, if you want the relationship to be good, the physical must be maintained. You have to make sure that you whitewashed it. You have to make sure that it's insulated. You have to make sure that the fridge is working, floor and everything. You have to put that the pest control has done everything, and the apartment is in good condition. That's the qi part. When you're meditating, you have to make sure that your body coincide with healthiness, coincide with the spiritual. So the body part, you can't ignore it. You can't say, I just spiritually meditate and I don't care about my physical body. No. When you are meditating for a long time, you really go out and exercise and discharge some of the qi energy in you. And on the other hand, that person in the apartment is the spiritual part. The spiritual part also has to do something about the mental. So talking about walking meditation, that is the physical, more or less the physical part. So you have to concentrate and focus on your movement to release the energy that you have. Last question. When a person passes away, the spirit is still around within 49 days, what does the spirit or consciousness go through during that stage? Can the spirit obtain merits or karma during that time without the help of others? What do dreams of the disease mean during that period of the 49 days after the spirit consciousness leaves the body? So there's a lot of questions incorporated in that question. So in the 49 days, the person who passes away, many things could happen. Say, for example, talking about dreams, if there are certain family members who are more prone to interacting with the metaphysical, with the non-physical, with the spiritual. And that member of the family, because of the mental structure and all that, he may be easier to get in contact with the passed away. The person who passed away, if he couldn't let go of whatever is surrounding him, will be still around and trying to communicate with family members, but they cannot. They cannot communicate with family members because they don't have a body anymore. And they don't have the power with the spirit to move stuff around. They don't have that power. So they cannot communicate with the family members. So he or she would choose to communicate with a family members who is more prone to interacting with spirits. And he can enter dreams of that family members to become, if, say, for example, someone, Mr. A passed away, an old age, say 90 years old, and he came back as an old man to his niece, to his wife, and said, I still left my key in the second drawer of my cupboard. And that key is the deposit box to the Royal Bank in Oak Street in Richmond. Richmond doesn't have an Oak Street, does it? In Granville, in Richmond, and go and get my stuff. And then next morning, he got up in his search. Oh, he really got the key. And he got the stuff. Oh, there's still some cash in there. So that's not surprising. And there could be a spirit who came back and said, make sure you put my tablets and put my name in a temple. And I like to be there. I like to hear monks and nuns chanting every morning. And make sure that my body would be in where and where and where. And my photograph, make sure that everybody, I still leave a good photograph somewhere. There's a lot of things happen in dreams, okay? And what happened in the 49 days? In the 49 days, we call it the Badu stage. The person who passed away could be still around if he's still attached to families. So if he's still attached to families, he will still be around. Whatever you do, he or she become very sensitive to it. Particularly if the family members start to fight for estates. Take it to the court. I want that house. I want this car. I want this $20,000. How come the $100,000 is split not evenly? I want this, I want that. If you struggle, he knows all about it, and he won't feel happy about it. If he don't feel happy, the more he feel unhappy, the more he's attached to things around. The best is to let go, let him let go. He doesn't have a body anymore because he is suffering. He has a body and cannot communicate with you. He's suffering. He should go to where his karmic energy attracts him to. You should say, oh, Dad, free to go where we want to go. And if you go on to the next life, make sure that you understand the Buddha's teaching. Liberate yourself from suffering. I will be doing this. I will be trying to understand the Buddha's teaching to liberate myself from suffering. I know everybody, this world is a world of suffering. And we all have to die anyway. Anybody who doesn't have to die, raise your hand. You don't have to die, raise your hand. Right? I'm right. So everybody has to die. Anybody here who would not get sick, raise your hand. You get sick? So you can't get away from these sufferings. The Buddha said there are ways to get away from sufferings, not only of yourself, of all those who are around you. Why don't you start, because of this ceremony, of this occasion, start to learn about all these spiritual path, to get onto that emancipation, liberation of sufferings. It's enough to get up every morning, eat your breakfast, eat your lunch, go to work, care your kids, go to school. Everybody does that. You did that every day. Take an initiative to study the wisdom of that saint who told you you can relieve yourself of suffering. Are you not interested in that? Or you're still interested in partying? Still interested in getting a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, a Zonesi house, a Mercedes, a BMW, That's too low level. That's the level of material acquisition in humanity, in the spiritual emancipation is very low. Get a higher level. I've talked enough. You'll get bored. Any question?
The difference between Chi and Kundalini.
Chi and Kundalini? Well, they are more or less the same thing. Kundalini is believing that there are chakras inside the body, and there is energy flowing through those chakras. And when you were born, those chakras, or sometimes when you were going through life, those chakras sometimes get blocked up. Once you get blocked up, the chi doesn't go through. So it's all related, but there's danger in practicing Kundalini. That's not what the Buddha talked about. If you don't know how to do it, you could get into trouble. You could get into very serious trouble if you do not know how to do it. So that don't just look at a book of Kundalini or look at a videotape and look at, I want to increase my consciousness. I want awareness. And then you practice Kundalini, you get into deep trouble. You will get into deep depression. And some people even, do foolish things, And Kundalini, and there's also the same kind of concept in Chinese. It's Qi, and the 大周天, 小周天. Well, you don't understand that, but anyway, that's the revolution of your Qi. So don't get into something that you don't quite know. And if you really have someone who is a guru, who is an expert in Kundalini, and you're sure he's an expert, yes, but otherwise, you've got to be very careful. You've got to be extremely careful.
What is like a specific danger?
What is like what? Specific
danger? What would cause
in Kundalini?
Yes.
You may all of a sudden get depression. You may all of a sudden get inferiority complex. You may also all of a sudden overwhelmed by fear and worry. And it's not just for a day, maybe for years. And you may hate yourself for having so many defects in life. We don't know. Some people could be able to get over. But what is more important, you got to, because Kundalini did not really contain the Buddhist teaching of emptiness of ego. You still believe that you have an I. I practice Kundalini, I will get awareness. I would benefit from it. You're still acquiring something. You're still attaching to the acquisition of something. The Buddha said, get rid of your acquisition. So you have to get the Buddha's teaching into Kundalini, then you have a mixed balance, a better balance of it. Otherwise, you may get into trouble. Meditation is not just going into a rosy garden where you feel the most peaceful, the most comfortable. It could get into stormy weather, not just one time. You could get into many, many stormy weathers. But once you've gone through the storm, you're a saint. In other words, there's no easy lunch. Say, if you want to really go to that destination, you really have to put on your knapsack and you walk. You stumble, you fall, you hurt your knees, and you're crying. You have to go through all these difficulties. Buddha has gone through all these difficulties to get to enlightenment. There's no such thing as a rosy path and everything is, every day it's sunny and I'm going to walk on it. As long as I can meditate, I'm going sunny weather. No such thing. the higher level you have, the more danger you will have to overcome. But once you overcome those dangers, you are a saint.